Good morning, everyone. What I'm going to do today is a very quick astrology snapshot. It's like a 5-10 minute research, so it's very basic, and then a 5-minute delivery of somebody's chart. Possibly, very probably actually, two people's charts. These people, I actually know this time who they are, but I don't know that much about the relationship. It's a program that's quite popular on TV at the moment. My daughter's been watching, and the relationship interests me, so I thought it may interest you as well. I'm going to switch off, I'm going to look at the charts, and I will be back in 5-10 minutes. Hi there, I'm back. I did just start, and the phone kept switching off after about a minute, so I had to I'm going to start again. This lady, who is a lady that I do know, has got a Capricorn ascendant, and I was saying earlier that Capricorn ascendants, to me, in my mind, make me think of people that are tall and long and lean with high cheekbones. I sometimes with models I think Capricorn ascendant, because they don't have much flesh on their skin, they tend to have very good bone structure and they tend to be very long. Oftentimes you do find this lady, this is not so with this lady. So what you normally need to do is look at where the ascendant ruler falls and see whether that gives you some sort of influence with regards to their looks. If it isn't looks, I would be looking for somebody, well actually one last thing about looks is sometimes Capricorn ascendants, they have a look of being older than they actually are, whether it's something about their face. I don't mean aged, I just mean a certain look. I can't even put my finger on it. The thing that I'm thinking of, it tends to be like a hook nose, not so much a Roman nose, but it's one of those noses that tend to have a notch in the middle towards the top and it comes down. And as I said earlier, Capricorn tends to sometimes run around the chart with Sagittarius following, and there tends to be length in the loins. Not so with this lady at all. But you would expect on meeting this person for them to be very controlled, very dignified, have that feeling that you could tell this person anything and they would take it seriously and they would keep it to themselves. This isn't a silly ascendant. It's controlled and dignified, and as I said earlier, it feels older than the other ascendants. It just has I'm going to say stoic. I always say the word stoic, but that's what I'm thinking, to be honest. And the interesting thing about this ascendant is the chart ruler is Saturn, of course, and that is actually within 1 degree conjunct the MC. So immediately you're thinking the MC will be the what this lady is remembered for when she's gone. It's her public persona, it's like her job, it's how groups see her. And if you've got Capricorn rising with that conjunct, with a Saturn conjunct the MC, this person is going to be known for the way that they take on or shoulder life's responsibilities. It's somebody who's not frivolous or not seen as that way, or it's somebody who has a very hardworking, dignified, and it's the type of person you turn to tell a secret to, and who will keep it. Oftentimes as well with this, I would be thinking my first thought for a job would be funeral director, and I don't know why, but oftentimes Capricorn is very strong in people who do that type of job because it's serious. You don't want somebody skipping in when they're sorting out somebody's funeral, do you, and laughing. It's somebody who has respect for things, for the past, for things that have gone, respect for the elderly, respect for tradition, and as I said before, the word stoic always comes to mind. I think it's because I've just learned it and I keep using it. Now, if we go down to, I'm not going to talk too much about houses because this is right between the 2nd and 3rd house, but the Sun is in Taurus down here, so you're getting a very earthy feel here. A Taurus Sun again will be very stubborn, very controlled again. So you can imagine meeting this lady and her being quite unshakable. It's the type of lady who is the last out of the office if she works in office, which she doesn't. And she's the one that will take on extra. It's the one you can rely on, and it's the one that you can't budge very easily. It's somebody who works extremely hard and somebody who isn't shaken by other people's ideas. It's a tough lady. If I didn't know who this was, I'd be thinking something like Margaret Thatcher, because I know the bits in the rest of the chart that are a little bit softer. You have got a nice trine from the Sun to Neptune, which I'm not going to put on at the moment, but that to me gives it a more gentle edge, a more imaginative edge with regards to, because it's in her 7th house here, with regards to relationships, it gives it a bit of illusionary quality where, and I was wondering here, I don't know whether the relationship, it could fall into so many different ways, where the relationship has a very soft and sweet feeling about it, and there's a gentle sort of compassion link between these people, or the fact it's quite ethereal in some way that you can't grasp it. And that makes me think of famous people who are married to, perhaps people that they don't see very often because they're always off working, and there's always that illusion around the person. Anyway, her moon is in Leo up here. So once again, I'm thinking fix, stubborn, and proud and regal with a Leo moon. Leo moons, you often find the mother or whoever it is around the person while they're growing up, if it's nicely aspected, which it isn't too bad to be honest, is normally somebody that nurtures the child to be very expressive, but nurtures the child to be very creative, and also to stand up for themselves and be the centre and be able to take that on. So that's where they get this regal air from. And a moon, especially in men, this isn't a man, and they tend to look for a woman who shines in herself. So this lady probably just as a woman shines in herself. But it's not conjunct, I don't think. No, it's not conjunct Neptune, but I'm going to put Neptune there because it comes later on, which is also in the 7th house, which we've just talked about. Now, so I'm getting an impression of somebody who's hardworking, who's not easily budged, who's very traditional, very regal at the moment. And I know who this is, so the words are being chosen carefully here. But Mercury in her 2nd house is in Aries. Hold on, I'm just looking for aspects here. So an Aries Mercury is direct. So you've got this woman who's not afraid to take on responsibility. This woman who possibly works extremely hard, but says it as it is. And this to me feels, what did I write down earlier with regards to Mercury? Direct, responsible, verbally to the point. No messing around, and grounded. And that probably is, if you get in this lady's way, she will tell you, I was going to say in a non-flowery way, but this has actually got a nice aspect to Neptune. So there's a degree of softness and gentleness, but this lady isn't messing around with regards to what she's going to say. And I will have more to say about that at the end. And also with a bit of softness here, she's got Neptune in Pisces. Where is Pisces? Down here. Sorry, not Neptune, she's got Venus in Pisces. Just looking at the aspects again. I'll talk about that at the end. So Venus in Pisces likes softness, likes sweetness, has a very feminine edge to it. So this is part of this lady's femininity, the moon and the Venus here. So the way that she expresses herself as a woman is not just her ascendant sign or just her sun sign. These two, the moon and the Venus, will come very much through in the way that she presents herself. So there is something quite, and yeah, it feels like, as I said with Margaret Thatcher, didn't she? They used to say she was like, I can't remember which way it was round, if she was like the iron hand in the soft glove, the velvet glove, all the way around. This woman, I think, is tough, very tough, and it's part of her exterior, but inside there's a gentleness and a softness that a family probably see. This is probably somebody who plays with the kids, or somebody that likes, I don't think animals there, I know she does. It's normally small animals, to be honest, with Pisces there. It's normally the type of person that loves a few hamsters. She hasn't got those, I'm sure, but that is the type of thing that I'm thinking of here. It's like softness, sweetness, a real passion for arts with Neptune in the 7th there as well. I don't see that in her, but that is probably what I would be thinking. Now, this is the other interesting bit. I think this is very interesting to me. You have got Mars in Aquarius conjunct Jupiter. So this woman's controlled. This woman's got a soft inner self here. And what's the word there? Inner something anyway. Softness inside. But you've got Mars in Aquarius on its own. With a woman with a Mercury Aries is going to be very direct. This is somebody who wants to know the truth and is not afraid to move forward and is not afraid to not only just make action towards that but speak the truth. But you've got that conjunct Jupiter as well. Once again, this to me feels a bit like a rebellious edge. You can't see this in this woman, but this has got to be something that's going on underneath the surface. This is somebody who wants to know the truth, and it being in Aquarius wants to know the truth for society in general. And to me, with all this, love of tradition, I guess, from Ascendant and her Saturn there's a whole lot going on inside this woman that's really interesting. And you've got that opposite, her Neptune as well. And it makes a T-square to her Saturn. And to me, that is fascinating, because this is a woman who has a traditional persona. This is a woman who has quite an individualistic flair, can't say that, quite a humanitarian feel and the need to speak the truth. And it's opposite Neptune, which has a degree of glamour about it in Leo, as does the moon in Leo. So this, I'm getting an image here of somebody who, the Saturn you will see in her, when I tell you who it is, you will see her Ascendant and her MC acting out. You will see possibly the illusion, the Neptune there. It's all behind glamour and it's all behind mystery and things that we don't really see. But I don't see the Mars and the Jupiter there, which to me is a need to know what's going on and speak the truth and for the people. Right. And that T-square is a biggie, really, considering it's the end of the T-square is on Saturn here on her MC. Right, finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about here, I think this is quite an interesting chart. I don't know if I've done it justice by doing it so quick, but it might be something you may want to look into. You have got her North Node in the 6th house in Cancer. So you've got all that Capricorn feeling, then you've got a node in Cancer, which is a difficult one, because that type of pull makes me think of looking after yourself, but being really soft as well. So there's a different pull there. One, I think, always wants to work on their own and stand on their own in life, and the other one wants to rely on people. This North Node in her 6th house, which is service, is conjunct Pluto. So there's an image here, and I know who this is, so I am filling in these gaps with things that I know, so which is different from a blind astrology look at somebody. So the Pluto to me on North Nodes, I've always seen, mostly seen, has an effect on society in general, and that's normally a big impact. Sometimes I look at nodes and people with like South nodes conjunct Pluto, I always feel it had an impact in some sort of way by changing society in the past. I don't know if that's right, but the thought in my head, if I was looking for somebody that is connected to the French Revolution or something, it would be Uranus and Pluto in the past, because it's revolutionary, obviously, but it also is a world change, or it's a change in an era, it makes an impact. So what I'm getting from this person before I finish very quickly, as it is a 5-minute one, I don't know how long I've got, is a very fixed personality, a very traditional personality, somebody who has to have responsibility, has to be seen to have responsibility. People rely on this person, but there's also a degree of illusion there in this, and there's also, I guess, a very humanitarian edge to this woman who's very direct in speech but has a soft inner self. So that's what I'm thinking of this lady. The more I look at it, I'm not actually that interested in this woman, but I am now, if that makes sense. The more I see things, and my daughter is watching this program, I'll tell you what it is at the end, and it's the relationship between her and this other lady that I find interesting. So that's the picture on this one. Let me go on to the next lady very quickly. Okay. This is the second lady's chart, which is similar in some ways, but extremely different in many other ways. This lady has got an Aries ascendant. With an Aries ascendant, I always think of people who have shorter faces, especially the middle part of their face. They tend to have, well, it's more of a square head, to be honest, and a strong jaw, because to me it feels like they've got, I think I know this anyway, more testosterone. It's a more assertive personality, often interested in sport. Depending on the other aspects in the chart, they're normally direct in the way that they present themselves and the way that they talk. They tend to have athletic figures. With women, it's normally flatter chest and quite muscular in some way. direct is the word I'm thinking here. Now, and before I go to this woman's chart ruler, I'm going to put Uranus, because Uranus, whatever it is, Anus always sounds better. I'm going to put that conjunct her ascendant, which it is, within 8 degrees. So it's reasonably wide, but it's in a first house and it's very important. So straight away, with having Uranus there, which is the planet of doing what you want when you want, changing society in some way, being very sort of electric. You know, it's difficult to sit down and actually do anything with a lot of Uranus in your chart, or having a transit of Uranus. So it just is really difficult to settle down. It gives you a feeling of ADHD. If you've got that naturally in your chart, that may be how you live your whole life. But if you're having it by transit, it just may be a time when you lose a lot of weight because you just can't settle. So this lady feels electric. This lady feels direct already. But what's really interesting to me also as well, before we get to that bit, she's got Mars in Gemini down here, which is a chart ruler. So it's playful. This is somebody who's direct and open and playful and funny. Somebody, because Uranus is funny, because they're very quick at their perceptions. They're almost like, you know, half a second earlier than everybody else with what they've perceived and what's come out of their mouth. And especially with that Aries there, it's going to be coming out really quick. Having the Mars in Gemini again is playful, very good with words, very... this person could cut you to a quick, I think, here. But she's got a big grand cross in her chart, which I think would be very difficult to her. And the funny thing is that conjunct her MC up here, you've got Saturn in Capricorn again, same as the other lady. So to me, I know who this is, obviously. These two ladies have a huge degree of responsibility to do with their public persona. And it sits okay with the other lady, with the Taurus there and all those other planets, which are either soft or tough. It's not a case of being electric and rebellious as this lady. This lady would find that Saturn harder, because it doesn't go with the first two planets, the first three planets that we've looked at here. Well, yeah, including the ascendant. So she won't be living out her Saturn as easily as the other lady, who will be taking on the responsibility and actually living that whole lifestyle in a way that is very convincing. And I don't mean that in a flippant way. I just mean that it's easier for her to do it, because this is part of a square, and a grand square in a chart. You know, oftentimes you see in esoteric astrology that, you know, the cross that we talk about, like the cross that we talk about in religion in general, is the crosses that we have in our charts, and how we haven't, maybe in past lives, found things too easy, and we come back again until we're basically whiplashed to live through these crosses, and it hurts, and it does hurt. T-square is the same. So the other side of her, opposite her ascendant and Uranus, is Venus over here. So that completes her grand cross, as you can see by the way they're laid out. So that being in Libra over here has a degree of softness to do with relationships. She'd be looking for beauty or ease in relationships, but being part of a cross, she's not going to get that very easily. It's all going to be, and if you think of a cross with regard to looking at your chart or anybody else's chart, the reason that you get these times in your lives, or times in this person's life where everything falls to pieces, is when a planet goes around just one of these four, the whole lot basically is brought to life, and it's difficult. Most of the time it is difficult. If you're interested in astrology, you see it coming, and it's still difficult, but you can almost play the game to some extent. You know what's going on, so you can recalibrate yourself. But this lady, I think, has had quite a tough life. And to add to that playful feel, although her sun, no, it's not even although, it is including, her sun is in Leo down here. I've not looked at this chart beforehand, I'm just doing it off the hop. And it's trying her MC, so there's something to do, you know, that regal feel we had with the other lady, and these ladies will be able to identify with each other, with this lady's Leo sun and the first lady's Leo moon. So there'll be a degree of, you can see the signature between the pair of them here, regality, responsibility. I know you know where I'm going now, but this lady's sun in Leo, which is, once again, can be very creative, can be very... it's also very playful. And it's also somebody who likes to shine and be seen for shining. It's in her 5th house, which gives it an extra sort of fun, sports, love, relationships. So this lady is different from the first lady, but the same in many ways. This lady struggles more with what life has given her, because that square there is, one's trying to play, this is trying to play, this is electric, and this is like, do your job. And Venus is, I just want to fall in love. The 5th house, I just want to fall in love. I want to relate. And this is that lady who can quip. And there was a bit I was watching on the TV programme where she was making up limericks, which you probably know who I'm talking about already. Right. Neptune widely, well, not widely, I suppose. No, it's not. It's 5 degrees conjunct her sun. Once again, Libra, Venus in the 7th house. Neptune conjunct the sun in the 5th house. This lady wants to fall in love. This lady lives for love. This lady probably having Saturn there. If I know who it is, but if I didn't know who it was, I was thinking this lady would have to work hard her whole life anyway. It's just part of the life path that I suppose she's chosen, whichever way you look at it. She has got her moon in Cancer, once again in the 5th house. Cancer moon tends to be, they like to be nurtured in many ways. They like people around them that love them, because they like to be nurtured and they like to nurture others. They like to feel at home, they like to feel comfort. And it's conjunct Pluto as well. So home is probably a loving bag of serpents is what I'm thinking here. There's difficulties here. And that moon isn't well aspected because it's square her ascendant and her Uranus. So this is a lady I'm thinking would want to run away from home and fall in love, because she would have to shoulder responsibilities. The last one, which feels like a little bit of a just an addition that I'm just going to throw on, is Mercury. Yeah, I'm not going to even bother doing that. That's her Mercury in the 6th house in Virgo, and I've just thrown that off. What I would be thinking with regards to that, although it has got difficult aspects once again, is actually not so difficult. Would be somebody who could write their memoirs, because Virgo in the 6th house and Mercury being there is somebody that's very good with words. So this lady not only could write very good limericks, this lady is very good with her words, possibly how she writes them, how she thinks, how she speaks them. Altogether, Mercury is her intellect in general. So to finish this off, what I'm thinking here, and to summarize it very quickly, hold on, my husband's coming, get me. Okay, I'm back again. Just to summarize this lady, which you can't summarize somebody in a few seconds, and I've not looked totally at the aspects, but this lady has got a tough Grand Cross in her chart. She's got a feeling of somebody who is forthright and playful and adventurous and loves falling in love, has to shoulder the responsibility in her life, needs to be nurtured, but when she wants to be nurtured, it feels with Pluto there that she's almost sucked into the underworld in some way, and that would react with a rebellious act because it's square Uranus on her ascendant. There's a softness inside this lady as well. There's a similarity between the pair of them in many ways, but this lady would run away from any responsibility and stick her 2 fingers up at anything, while the other lady would take it on. Now, my battery's about to go, and I'm just going to tell you who it is. Hold on. Okay. The first lady is, which I'm sure as you know this already, is Queen Elizabeth II, and the second lady is Princess Margaret, her sister. And the reason that I did these charts is because my daughter comes home from work and is watching The Crown non-stop, which I'm doing bits at the table, making myself sound looking industrious here. So I'm catching bits of it, and I find it interesting because I've got, we all have different images and thoughts about the royal family. And as I'm watching it, and I'm not a very traditional person, to be honest, to be totally honest, you have respect for the people that they just are, regardless of, I always think of people as you know, when they're kids and they're just innocent and sweet, and we come into the world with all this in our charts, and they just are chucked into an arena that they've got to live it out. And I know there's probably people thinking that, well, everybody's got an opinion about the royal somewhere. I'm just saying, you know, we all have, haven't we, somewhere or other, because it's just a really weird. And I keep thinking, you know, you're looking down at this world from somewhere else and you see what's going on. It must look absolutely mad. But there's got to be a respect there, I think, for people. And we're all real people. And I always remember Cheryl Cole's quote when she was on TV being quizzed about, she's like a singer and some sort of pop star here whose husband had an affair. And they were talking to her on a chat show. And she started crying. She said, "This is my life." You know, it's like a show for everybody else, isn't it? But it's their life. So there's got to be some sort of respect for that. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe I know what you're thinking. But I found those charts really interesting because the difference between the women and the fact that it's they've both got the same MC with Saturn conjunct the MC, but very different personalities, which you can see in the show. Now, I'm going to leave it there. The reason I do these charts, I know I'm talking really quick, it's because I don't think, and I don't know if this is me again, whether people's interest in other people's charts can span over longer than 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm doing it to hopefully, if you can grab something from this, and if you're slightly interested in astrology, you know, go and look it up, because it changes your life. There are different types of astrology, and the more you look into them, the more slippery it gets and your opinion changes. But there's always a basic sort of concrete jigsaw underneath that fits, and it's absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. If you do astrology anyway and you're really good at it, it may be interesting to put those two charts together and look at the synastry. And if you want to comment in the comments section, I'd be really interested. Right, I'm going to go. Bye.